Love is meant to be the safest place we run to, a refuge, a sanctuary, a space where we feel seen, supported, and strengthened. But what happens when that sanctuary begins to collapse from within? What happens when the warmth of love becomes the very flame that burns us? When affection begins to feel like a cage, and connection becomes the source of our deepest confusion and pain? Toxic love doesn't always arrive with bruises or screaming matches. Sometimes it comes softly, with subtle guilt, invisible manipulation, and the slow erosion of self. It doesn't always look like a nightmare. In fact, it often begins as a dream, an intensity mistaken for passion, a possessiveness mistaken for care, a constant presence mistaken for devotion. But beneath the surface, there is a quiet unraveling. And by the time we realize we're entangled, the line between love and control has already blurred beyond recognition. Toxic love thrives on inconsistency. One moment you're lifted, adored, worshipped. The next you're discarded, criticized, doubted. This emotional whiplash creates a deep sense of confusion, which the brain ironically interprets as attachment. In psychology, this is known as trauma bonding. The very person who wounds you is also the one who soothes you. It's a cycle that mimics addiction, highs and lows that keep you tethered, always hoping the good moments will outweigh the bad. But in the process, you begin to shrink. You question your worth, you second-guess your instincts, your boundaries blur. Love, once expansive, now feels suffocating. And yet walking away feels impossible, not because you don't see the damage, but because the damage has distorted your sense of what love should feel like. Often, toxic love is rooted in unmet childhood needs. If you were raised in a home where love was conditional, where you had to perform, please, or disappear to be accepted, then chaos may feel like home. Your nervous system becomes wired to equate unpredictability with intimacy. So when someone mirrors your old wounds, it feels familiar. And familiarity, even when painful, can feel safer than peace. This is the cruel irony. We gravitate toward relationships that echo our earliest emotional experiences, not because we enjoy the pain, but because we're unconsciously seeking resolution. We hope that if we can finally make this person love us right, we will heal the love we didn't receive before. But healing cannot happen in repetition. It happens in disruption. And often we must first recognize that what we're calling love is actually an elaborate form of self-abandonment. Toxic love can be hard to spot because it doesn't always look like abuse. It can look like constant texting that seems romantic, but is actually surveillance. It can look like jealousy disguised as protectiveness. It can sound like, "I'm only this way because I love you so much," which places responsibility for their behavior onto your shoulders. You begin to carry their moods, their pain, their past until you're exhausted and empty. But love is not meant to be a burden. It is not meant to ask you to disappear so someone else can feel secure. Love should feel like freedom with connection, not control dressed up as care. But when we have never experienced healthy love, we confuse sacrifice for devotion. We confuse drama for depth, and we call it passion when it is really dysfunction wrapped in intensity. One of the most damaging aspects of toxic love is its erosion of identity. In the beginning, you may feel more alive than ever, like someone finally sees you. But slowly, your world begins to revolve around them. You give up hobbies, you lose friendships, you stop expressing opinions that might upset them. You laugh less, you apologize more, and you tell yourself this is what love requires: compromise, patience, understanding. But there is a difference between growing with someone and shrinking for them. If love costs you your voice, your peace, your dignity, it is not love. It is emotional debt. And like all debt, it accumulates interest. Over time, you pay with your self-worth, your mental health, your capacity to trust again. Toxic love also thrives on illusion. The illusion of change, the illusion of potential, the illusion that this time will be different. And so you stay. You explain away the red flags. You hold on to the version of them that showed up in the beginning, the charming, attentive, magnetic version. But that version was never sustainable. It was a hook, not a foundation. And the more you invest in the illusion, the harder it becomes to see the truth. That what you're waiting for is not coming back. that you're in love with a memory, not a reality, and that no amount of love can change someone who is committed to staying the same. Leaving a toxic relationship is not easy. It's not just walking away from a person. It's walking away from a pattern, a hope, a belief that if you just love harder, it will work. It requires grieving not only what was, but what you imagined could be. It takes immense courage to choose yourself when yourself has been so entangled with someone else's pain. But healing begins with honesty, with admitting that love should not hurt like this, that love should not cost you your joy, your stability, your sense of self. Real love doesn't ask you to betray yourself to keep it alive. Healing from toxic love is a journey back to self. It's learning to differentiate between intensity and intimacy, between control and care, between obsession and devotion. It's unlearning the belief that love must be earned through suffering. It's allowing yourself to believe that you are worthy of steady, kind, reciprocal love. The kind that grows in safety, not chaos. That feels like home, not a battlefield. And that holds space for your wholeness, not just the pieces that make someone else comfortable. It also means forgiving yourself, for staying, for hoping, for not knowing better, for loving someone who did not know how to love you back. There is no shame in being vulnerable. There is no weakness in wanting connection. Toxic love often preys on the most tender, open-hearted parts of us. But those parts are not broken, they are sacred, and they deserve to be met with reverence, not manipulation. Recovery requires reparenting those parts, speaking to yourself with compassion, setting boundaries, not as walls, but as doors you choose to open selectively, surrounding yourself with relationships that reflect your growth, not your wounds, learning to sit with discomfort without rushing back to what hurt you, and remembering that just because someone needed you to dim your light doesn't mean you were too bright. It means they were not ready to meet you in your fullness. When love turns toxic, it teaches us hard truths. It teaches us where we still seek external validation, where we've confused control for connection, where we abandon ourselves for approval. But it can also teach us our strength, our resilience, our capacity to rise. The pain becomes the portal. And through that portal, we return to ourselves. Not the version shaped by fear, but the one that remembers who they were before they were made small. In the end, love that hurts is not love at all. It is fear in disguise. And when we finally stop chasing it, we make space for something real, for the kind of love that doesn't ignite our wounds, but helps us heal them, that doesn't demand we earn it, but reminds us we are already enough. Love is not meant to break you. It is meant to hold you, honor you, and help you become more of who you are, not less. And when you finally believe that, you will no longer settle for anything less than that. That is the beginning of true love, not with another, but with yourself.